I see you are recording, Michelle. Very good.
I turned it on. 7 o'clock. Here we go.
You are the hostess with the mostest. Absolutely.
Oh my.
I'd like to call.
Sorry, wait.
Thank you. I'd like to call this town board meeting of July 27th, 2020 to order at 7 p.m. If you would all please rise. I'm going to try to do this with the flag. I mean, the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Thank you, everyone.
Ken, can we just have a roll call of all the board members
Sure.
here so I know?
Ken English here. Jay Reichgott.
Present.
Maria May. I know Maria's here. She's probably got to unmute. There she is. Michelle Lindsay. And Dave McMillan is absent this evening. He had an unfortunate death in his family. Sorry to share with you.
Donna, do you see all the other participants? We have
I see Jim Davies. Hi, Jim. Matthew Lemoyne.
Frank Peverly's here.
Frank.
John Bagno. Rob Dolbaum.
Rob.
Officers.
So I have a bunch of things open on my computer. So first, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the regular bi-monthly town board meetings held on July 13th, and we had a special meeting on July 20th. I'll make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Michelle Lindsay. I'll take a roll call vote. Maria May.
Aye.
Jay Reichgott.
Aye.
Ben English, aye. And Deputy Supervisor Lindsay.
Aye.
And obviously Dave McMillan is not here tonight. So we have 4 votes accepting the minutes. I'm going to begin with my supervisor's update. Let me see where I have that. So it's been a busy couple of weeks. I'm not going to go into everything, but I wanted to give you an update on what's been happening at Powerhouse Park in the East Village. As many people know, we've had a lot of people coming out of New York City and other urban and suburban environments coming to enjoy our wonderful forested area here in Tuxedo. But it's really been overwhelming our parks, and we've had some visitors that have not respected our environment. So what have we done? We started out first trying to deal with what we would call hikers, day trippers, mostly coming to hike in the park, parking their cars in the East Village, parking their cars along Route 17, basically ignoring parking regulations and, trying to enjoy a day in the country, but it got overwhelming. So we worked with Shari, I believe, and probably people in the town clerk's office. Well, we secured temporary red no parking signs, emergency situation. And those were put up all throughout the East Village, up and down Route 17. And we had officers writing many, many tickets. I think they were well over 100 tickets. And we tried diverting our hikers into the commuter lot. We had some success with that. We tried a chain at Lucky Park. That lasted all of about a day. Then eventually Rob Dolbaum, in a very timely fashion, installed a permanent gate to prevent parking there. That gate cost over $2,200. We've had police details starting at 8 a.m., required overtime, and bringing in part-time officers to be stationed at the commuter lot and other locations throughout the Powerhouse Park in the East Village. I've been at Powerhouse Park most mornings at around 8:30, meeting the police there and discussing ways as to how we can control the overwhelming nature of people coming. Mostly the biggest problem erupted up in what's called the Bubbles, I believe, along the Ramapo River, a spot that was new to me. I first went there about 3.5, 4 weeks ago and was amazed by the natural beauty, but aghast by the conditions that I found there. I'm a fluent Spanish speaker, and I spoke to many of the people that were there. Many of them were Hispanic immigrants, and many of them had limited English skills. So I think the police and other town representatives did a very good job of diplomatically explaining the problems and what we needed to have happen, which is to basically close the park to unlawful activities. Um, on a positive note, a lot of people took some great effort to help clean up. This included the highway department. We're there on several days, not only taking care of the grass and preparing for our movie night, but also removing trash and cleaning up the area. We had police officers. I was there one evening when Lieutenant Norton and several other police officers literally rolled their sleeves up and bagged and carted out bags and bags of garbage. We had many citizens go back there. Miss Carolyn Kelly, somebody very fond to my heart. She happens to be my wife. Maria May and I went back there. I understand, I believe her name is Mrs. Wilson, although I misplaced a small piece of paper that Lieutenant Norton gave me. If I got her name wrong, I will certainly correct that. I understand that she removed bags and bags and bags of garbage from the back area and the Bubbles. I have pictures I can't display here tonight, but it was outrageous. But I can tell you, after some of these efforts, 85% of the trash was removed, and the rest of it is stuff that's more embedded in the underbrush that will take more effort by volunteers, I would imagine, to take care of that. So we will be continuing with the police details. We'll on our agenda tonight, we'll be talking about updating our code to make sure that all the unwanted activity is clearly in our code as unlawful. And we will be moving forward with continuing police enforcement, and we will deal with this on an ongoing basis. We did have a very successful movie night. Over 60 people showed up. I believe that was on Friday. These days tend to blend. We tried to have it on Wednesday and then Thursday, 2 rainouts in a row, but Friday night, the third day, was the charm. We had music, Dave Dowling, and the movie was enjoyed by many. So, okay, so I don't know if I'm twice. Michelle, I'm having very bad echo. Testing. Okay, I think you got it. Thank you very much. So to keep this under control, we're going to try to all work together. You see something, say something. We'll work together to find solutions. And the police have been very responsive and will continue to do so. So we will work together to resolve this issue. I'd like to update you now on the Long Meadow Road situation. As many of you know, the DEC has put on the town a consent order that has been in place for almost 10 years. The town must clean up the contaminated soil pile this year. Fines in our consent order could be up to $3,000 a day for noncompliance. So this town board has set aside $250,000 for this cleanup. But what do we get with this $250,000? Well, we had to rent a lot of big equipment. We rented a screener. A screener is a large machine that separates the debris out of the contaminated soil into different sizes. It basically gives us 4 different piles that we need to separate and keep separated, and work with our DEC to chemically sample the soil to make sure there are no hazardous carcinogens and move forward with that separation and removal. We've also rented a bulldozer, an excavator, a contamination detection meter. All that equipment had to be delivered, and just the delivery alone was $4,000. We have fuel costs to the tune of about 50 gallons a day. We estimate that to be about $1,500 a month. Labor costs, we have 2 operators operating 8 hours a day, 20 days a month. The labor costs a month are expected to run around $24,000. So total, we expect this cleanup to cost us about $50,000 to $55,000 a month. We're expecting to run this cleanup for about 5 months. We expect that most of the cleanup should be accomplished by that point. So we will be giving updates as we progress down the 5-month trail. We're about a month into it so far. And if anybody's been there, Rob Dolbaum and the crew out of the highway department are doing amazing work. This is a town board that's committed to cleaning this up and getting us off this consent order. This consent order costs us well over $15,000 a year just for our monitor. And so over 10 years, we've spent close to $150,000 just to have a monitor. So we are committed to cleaning this up, which this is of economic impact to us. That we need to remove and make sure this never happens again. Okay, so let's see, what else did I want to talk about here? I told you we were going to be looking at getting the Hamlet sewer plant up and running. Michelle and I have established Tuesday, August 11th. We will be doing a WebEx meeting with the Hamlet Sewer District LDC board. The existing wastewater treatment plant has reached the limit of its functioning lifespan, and the new treatment plant needs to be brought online. So we'll be meeting with our local development corporation that's in charge of the sewer district, and we will be putting together a presentation for town residents, people who live in the Hamlet sewer district, and update you as to what are the expected costs and benefits and implications of bringing that plant online. So I'm going to stop there. So we can get into our agenda, and so I'll defer to the town board if they wanted to do their updates now, or would you want to wait till later? Michelle, you make the call.
I think we can wait since we have 2 presentations.
Okay, I think that's a good idea.
Unless, Jay and Maria want to add something right now, they can unmute themselves.
I have nothing to add. I mean, I've got some items later on in the agenda, but I won't give it away by telling anybody what they are.
Same here.
Excellent. So which presentation is first, Michelle?
I believe it is the assessment of state lands. So I will turn this over to Matt.
We're going to try to name this tune in about 10 minutes, which means probably more closer to 15, but let's see how Matt does on this. Matt, welcome, and thank you for coming. And I know you're not alone there. Who are you with, Matt?
This is Bill Beckman, the President of Beckman Appraisals. And I just want to thank Jim Davies for allowing us to put this presentation together, because this is something that can help the town of Tuxedo in a lot of ways. First, monetarily. But if we go to the next slide. That's me. I'm a real estate appraiser. I've been doing appraisal work for 30 years at Rockland County. I'm also one of the tax assessors in Rockland County, and I have 30 years of experience in assessing. I've actually done litigation work for the town of Tuxedo over the years, and I'm familiar with your counsel. I've appraised all types of properties, and I have extensive GIS experience, which is very important for the state-owned lands valuation process. Next slide. We reassessed in Stony Point. We had a project last year that we did 160 parcels in Stony Point, where we went through them on a parcel by parcel basis. We met with the state early on, and properties were overassessed, underassessed, and we worked out new assessments on all the parcels in the town of Stony Point. There was a huge problem where property on the riverfront was tremendously underassessed. The Bear Mountain Park system, the Doodletown area, Iona Island, etc. And we picked up a lot of value in those neighborhoods by doing the reassessment. Next slide. What we did is we used the GIS system that's available in Orange County, and we did a lot of walkthroughs of the parcels, and we were able to raise the assessed valuation in the town of Stony Point 17%, which was about $5 million, which increased the full value of the Stony Point assessment by about $36 million, which is a tremendous benefit to the town, the school district, and the county and special districts. Next slide. What we did is we evaluated each parcel after meeting with the state, what they were concerned with by looking at the primary acreage, the secondary acreage, and the tertiary acreage. And we went through and did a lot of slope analysis on the state-owned land. As you know, a lot of the state-owned land is just mountainous property and not really usable. And what we had to do was determine on a parcel by parcel basis what was usable, what was not usable, and come up with a value for each of the parcels. And that's what we did on a parcel by parcel basis throughout Stony Point. Next slide. The end result is the $5 million increase in assessment for the town of Stony Point. And that's going to help out tremendously the homeowners of Stony Point this year in the form of a reduction in the tax rate for the school tax. And it's going to help tremendously on the January town bill. Okay, next slide. This process can be replicated for the town of Tuxedo. It'd be the same process that we did in Stony Point. And we would do exactly as we did in Stony Point. We would meet with the state. They have a state-owned lands unit. And we would go meet with them, tell them about the project, do our work, make a presentation with them, and work out the numbers with them. And it worked very well in Stony Point and added a tremendous amount of revenue. In the town of Tuxedo, you have less parcels, and the tax rate, roughly, just rounding numbers, is about $75 for the total town and county rates, and the school district rate's about $75, a little higher than that for school. So for every $1 million that's added in value to the assessment roll, that would add another $75,000 to the, based on the current rates, to just the town portion of the bill, not the school district portion, but the town portion, the town bill, of which 2/3 would go directly to the town. And state-owned lands are paid by the state of New York. It's been around for a long time, and A lot of towns don't really look at the state-owned lands the way they should. I know that Jim Davies took a look last year and increased a lot of the parcels. But I think there's a lot more work that can be done on the remaining parcels. And it's something that Stony Point did, and it worked out very well. And I think it could help Tuxedo also. And that's why we're here and made the presentation. Next slide. Okay. This is just an example using some of the values that we found in Stony Point that we could increase the value of a parcel, and it just shows the assessment increase on some of the basic data that we looked at already. Next slide. Okay, I guess we're ready for questions. I just had some other slides, but that's basically our presentation.
Thank you. Very interesting. This is Ken English. So I think you mentioned you said something to the effect like an increase of $75 over $1 million of value that might be further assessed would yield 75,000 additional tax dollars. Did I hear that correctly?
For $1 million increase in assessment,
Right.
for just a town and county, it would be a $75,000 increase, where over $50,000 would just go to the town, highway, part-time, fire district, and the library. The county gets about 30%. So you get 70%, the lion's share to those districts.
So how do you how is your cost structure work for your fee? Is it a percentage of money gained for the town, or how does that work?
We would send you out a proposal to appraise all the property, and it would be a flat fee proposal. I'm estimating $35,000 would be the flat fee proposal, and all the gains are yours. And all you have to do is deduct our fee, and everything else is basically your fee. It goes into the coffers year after year after year. Once it's on the assessment roll, it stays there.
I have a question, Michelle. Is the state obligated to pay the full amount every year? I thought I had heard one time that, it's if the state's running low on funds, they don't have to pay the full amount. Is that true?
As of the statute right now, I'll defer to council, but right now, all roll section 3 property in the state of New York is assessed at the local level. It gets submitted to the state approves the assessment, and they pay the bills, and that's the way it's been going on in Rockland, Orange County, since the Depression. They started this program. We're concerned about, as assessors, and I can tell you that the state of New York at some point may decide to not allow you to reassess. They might decide to take the assessment ability away from the local assessors, but as of right now, it hasn't happened. And my recommendation is to get as much as you can from the state as soon as you can, because at some point they could take it away, but as of right now, it's not happening. There's always talk for years and years and years about that.
I have a question. In addition to looking at the slopes, which you mentioned, you look at other site constraints, building constraints, like wetlands, for example.
Yes, we do the wetlands, we do what's underwater, and it's all defined on each parcel. So if there's a lake, we have one value for the lake portion, and it's all defined in our primary, secondary, and tertiary. And we have a valuation methodology, which is proven already with the state. They've accepted it, where we've done this process before. And it's found money once they approve it.
Thank you.
I have a question. This is Jay Rushkat. We have additional tax monies that are coming to the town, and obviously the state's gonna, or the county's gonna get their cut. Is this also on the school district tax rolls?
Yes, the school district gets their cut. Thing.
Okay.
Actually, the school tax is the same as the total town and county tax. They're a prime beneficiary of it.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
It'll help their tax. Actually, North Rockland School District, tax rates going down in Stony Point this year.
This is Ken English, supervisor. So once this, so the process, obviously, our local assessor has the authority to at least propose a new rate. I guess then there's a negotiation with the state authority, and I guess once those parties agree, then it's a stable tax. It's not something that needs to be revisited on an annual basis, I would imagine.
No, not in general. It's just you're bringing everything up to date. I don't know the last time anybody did this in the town of Tuxedo, but I assume it hasn't been done in 30 years until Jim did some work last year. So all the way back, knowing a lot of the assessors there, and it's something that they kind of leave alone, but it's the money there, and it's a good enhancement of value to the town once this is accomplished.
So knowing what you do about what Jim has done for us, which is tremendous, taking a look at this, bringing this to this town board's attention, do you have any kind of idea as to how much there's still left on the bone there that Jim hasn't really gotten to yet?
I haven't done it yet, but I can tell you, most of the offices that we look at this, there's a lot of bone out there to be put some meat on. That's what we see in the office. And the technology is there that wasn't there 10 years ago. As Howard pointed out, the floodplains, the wetlands, we didn't have that. Now we can really make an estimate of what's good property in Tuxedo. We know the values in Tuxedo. I'm an appraiser. I've been doing it a long time. And usually we're out there finding what we see. And Jim can tell you, when we started this project in Stony Point, we had no idea that we would pick up $35 million in value and that the tax rates would be going down this year. And by the way, as the town, they bear the expense, but there's a lot of other people who benefit. In Rockland County, the county alone from the Stony Point project for last year gets $110,000 a year in perpetuity going up forever. And the county GIS department helped us tremendously coordinate, and it worked out very, very well. So they went to their county execs, say, hey, here's a project we did. We worked with Stony Point, we worked with Beckman, we did everything, and it benefited the county. So they got theirs. The school district did absolutely nothing. They got the best benefit, though. That I can tell you. And they're very happy about it, money coming in.
Jim, Howard here. Question for you about how many acres of state land do we have, and PIPC land do we have in the town?
I think Bill should have the exact numbers on it.
I don't have the acreage, but there's 56 parcels.
56 parcels.
Right.
Well, I know Harriman Park is about 55,000 acres. Of course, not all of that is in Orange County or the town of Tuxedo. I think probably about 35% of that is. And then, of course, Sterling Forest primarily is in the town of Tuxedo with small portions in the town of Warwick. So I would imagine it's got to be 50,000 acres plus.
Did you see that? I don't have the acreage in front of me. I just know it's, I have the number of parcels, though it's 56 that I have.
So obviously, we will continue this conversation. We appreciate the presentation. We'll take this under consideration with Jim, and I'm sure we have some follow-up questions for you guys. And unless anyone else on the town board has some questions, or did we get any possibly through our chat? Let's see.
See the questions? When was the last time the property was done? I think that means when was the last time the property was assessed? It kind of,
All the properties were actually state-owned lands were assessed last year. They're assessed every year, actually.
But I guess not with the rigor that you're talking about, Jim, here in this presentation.
Yeah, nothing in depth with which Mr. Beckman's.
Not an analysis at a parcel level determining usable land. I guess it was a formula just generally based on acreage and just like a flat rate.
Yeah, and there's a lot more, especially lakefront acreage, valued property, which we have worth nothing. This is very good for the town.
Thank you.
yeah.
One last comment from my end. It's important that the process start early, so we go to the state early. We know that we're coming in with everything for next May for their approval. So the time is critical to get everybody on board at the state level, to show them what we have, show them the inventory, have the work done, and get it to the state in time so they can review it and approve it for the next May's roll. And I know it's we're just talking about September school taxes, but the next May roll is going to be here before you know it, and it's going to take some time to work with the state and make sure they're all on board 100%.
Can I ask you a question? It's Maria May. Given the fact that New York State is kind of in a financial bind at this moment because of COVID-19, are these, is there largesse in terms of, paying more for this land, so they're willing to negotiate still the same? Have you worked recently with the state?
Yes, we worked recently with the state on increasing Stony Point, with that up 17% last year. And the most important thing is the assessor has the ability to put the assessment on, and the state can take the assessor to court, just like another tax certiorari proceeding. So the ultimate value is with the assessor with Jim from Tuxedo. What we're there doing is assisting him in putting the values on the property. And we're not doing it in a vacuum. We're not going to surprise the state. We're going to tell them up front what we're doing. They're familiar with us. They're familiar with the process. And we just get it all done. Let them come down. We're very transparent. You guys will see every single parcel and how we did it on each parcel and the value we came up with each parcel. And do the presentation to the state, and it worked out. They're not against good appraisal practices. Actually, they preach good appraisal practice, and it would be good if all the towns did this type of work that was done in Stony Point. Hopefully, get Tuxedo on board that they do it and they get the benefit.
Thank you.
So, Bill, is there any consideration that we could do this in phases, or is it basically all or nothing?
I think it's all or nothing, because that's how you're going to get your biggest bang for the dollar. That's how you're going to get your best return. And you do this out, and you'll see that it pays for itself, and you get the money for year after year after year from the state. And that's been the practice, and that's what we've tried to do when we've done this for other people.
Well, in the interest of time, town board, I don't have any further questions. Obviously, we will formulate a response and any additional questions for Bill, and work with Jim and look at our budget and try to figure this out. If that's okay with the rest of the board, I'd like to thank. Please go ahead.
But it'd be helpful. But it'd be helpful for the board to have a proposal from Bill in hand that you can look at the details and that might help you make decisions.
Absolutely.
That would be I actually have a question for, I guess, for Howard. I heard Mr. Lemoyne's number floated of a, budget estimate of $35,000 for this study, which, assuming that turns out the way he says it's going to, is certainly a value. But where does that number fall in our purchasing rules? Do we have to go? We're going to have to go to additional bids, or can we?
So this is specialty services that are generally available without somebody else starting from scratch and recreating the wheel. So I don't think you need to go out to bid for this kind of proposal. These are
Sounds good to
definitely
me.
specialty services.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Ken, I think we're in agreement that we'll wait for proposal.
Yes, we are. So again, I'd like to thank our presenters, Beckman Appraisals, Bill, and I believe it's Jim, for your fine presentation, and it's certainly intriguing. And again, we will look out for your proposal and hope to respond in a timely fashion. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Have a nice meeting.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think it's time to segue to our presentation conversation with our representative from IWS. Let me get we have our guest speaker. Where are we? Marissa Kellerhouse.
Marissa Kellerhouse. Hey.
Hi, Marissa.
Hi. And I also have Joe Burke with me as well. He's VP of Sales. Him and I work together along with the rest of our team on your contract.
Thank you.
How are you?
Great. Thank you for coming. And we look forward. All members of the town board have reviewed your proposal. And so we just wanted to hear your highlights and then open it up to town board members' questions. And then we can certainly also fan out to members of our audience. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
Sure. Thank you. Go ahead, Joe. Okay, I'll start. So we've serviced the town of Tuxedo now for about 8 years. We had our initial contract, which was a 5-year term, and most recently, we actually are just finishing, as of Friday, a 3-year term this time around. We actually granted an extension with this last contract for the last month. But if you recall, about 8 years ago, Interstate Waste, when we did win the for the town of Tuxedo, we brought the toter service into. We brought the toter service into the town and automated side loaders. So we've been successfully servicing the town with those automated trucks and toters now for about 8 years, along with the bulk pickups that do occur. Highlight something that has definitely changed, not only from the first contract period, but since November of 2018. And ultimately, it does get reflected in this contract's price, the new contract's price that we had just submitted a proposal on. Orange County, they increased their disposal rate from an $85 per ton. Again, that was November of 2018. It first went to $104 a ton last year, and then increased an additional $2 a ton this year in 2020. So now the total disposal is $106 per ton, again, up from $85 a ton. And that $85 a ton number stayed pretty stagnant for approximately 20 years. There was a very long-term contract that was in place for Orange County itself with disposal, but that contract had since expired, and hence, the disposal came more in line with really the surrounding counties and really what the market is bearing today. In addition to that, a very big piece of the pie that changed was recycling. So recycling in, again, about 2017 into 2018, we started to see the volatility with the markets from China, whereas, the majority of the United States recyclables get exported to China. They started to really look at their environmental impacts and really, clamp down to reduce the amount of waste that was coming over in the recyclables. So as a result, what happened was anything that was leaving export to go overseas there was a 0.5% contamination level that was assessed on all bales of recyclables as they left. So that made it incredibly difficult for not only IWS, but really all waste hauling companies throughout the United States to meet those standards. And as a result, waste disposal, recyclable disposal and processing costs really, they increased dramatically. So similar to the trash disposal cost increases that Orange County itself experienced, it also experienced a significant increase in recyclable disposal, single stream recyclable disposal to be specific. So at the beginning of 2020, a new contract was negotiated with a different hauling company that processes the recyclables for Orange County, and it went from a $0 per ton processing fee, which actually was negotiated from where they were giving rebates back, to $106 a ton. So essentially today, in July of 2020, both disposal for not only trash, but recyclables in Orange County sits at $106 per ton. So there has been significant, disposal changes from, not only the, 8 years ago, but, more recently, within the last 3 years since the time that this original contract was bid, and now this next contract period.
Could you explain a little bit about the single stream recycling? And I know you were just mentioning the need for not trying to recycle contaminated. I guess that means, people aren't rinsing off these containers, that kind of thing. So what's the single stream do for us?
Yeah, so it's a little bit more in depth at this point, just simply because of the contamination levels. So, for example, single stream at home, the cans and bottles, cardboard, newspapers, junk mail, just those general items. Of course, clean is much preferred. But glass, if you notice, I didn't say glass. That was one of the huge contaminants, especially when the markets changed, that we asked our customers to eliminate in the single stream recycling. Because what was happening was, of course, glass goes in and it breaks, and then it starts to contaminate the fibers, especially. So whereas, maybe the cans and bottles, they're not getting contaminated by the glass shards, the fiber is. So when that fiber would go out for market, with that small level of contamination, like that glass, if there was a load with glass, forget it, that entire load became contaminated and became trash. So what we really, tried to do is, one, educate, our customers, our residents, to let them know, don't include the glass. We got some pushback on that, but what we tried to really focus on was more of the reduce and reuse aspect of it. Maybe reduce the number of products you're purchasing in glass, and if you are purchasing in glass, find a reuse instead of just recycling is really the last, and essentially, just throwing it away. So in Orange County, really single stream recycling is really the norm. Everything goes in that bin. However, when it all goes in that bin, there are still residents maybe who may put plastic bags in there. Plastic bags contaminate the load. Sometimes we call it wish cycling. where maybe a resident will say, I have a garden hose and it's fine condition. I just got a new one. So they put it in the recycling because somebody else could use it. But that's actually not, it actually contaminates the loads because the recycling centers are not equipped to handle that. That would almost be more of like a reuse type situation instead of a recycle situation. So those are the issues that we deal with right now when it comes to single stream recycling. Within the town, we do face still contamination, although we do our best to really try to pick it up and post sort. But regardless, at this point, the cost for doing that are just, they're mirroring trash prices at this point.
So should people
just
not
just
be
to-
putting bottles in there? I'm sorry.
I just wanted to add one point to what Marissa had mentioned. I don't know if you guys can hear me. It sounds like there's a big echo.
Joe, you might be on twice. Michelle, could you just see if Joe is on? I think the echo is now gone. Let's see.
No, I got a big echo.
Did you call in and log in through a computer? Because that would do this.
I logged in.
I see
And
Joe
then I-
on twice. I don't know how to disconnect one of them. Somebody else
You
tell
can
me
go
how
to
disconnect.
participant, I believe, and expel at the bottom, Michelle.
Okay.
Sorry
So
about that,
just-
guys.
Pick a Joe,
I
and
know.
one of them's got to go.
Trying to find out how I do that.
You got a participant in the,
I know.
what's the last one? Expel at the drop
way
down.
over there. Okay, got it. Okay, so God, I don't want to expel everybody. Let me see.
You do it on a single. You click on the participant's name on the right.
Okay, hold
That's an
on.
individual expel.
Come on, okay. So, Joe, I'm not sure which one you're on. Oh, wait. Okay, it's got to be the one that you're muted. Okay, hold on. Yay.
We did it. Nice work.
Oh,
The new world that we live in.
sorry I had to stop you. Your avatar.
Well,
Okay.
thank you. One thing that I just wanted to add in was in 2017, the value of the commodities was much greater than it is today. For example, cardboard, we were getting probably about $200 a ton for clean cardboard. Today, we're only getting probably about $30, $35 per ton after we pick it up and process the cardboard. Another material that we make is mixed paper with the newsprint and the magazines, the paper. We make a mixed paper grade, and that material had a value of probably between $75 and $95 per ton. Today, we're at zero and sometimes having to pay to get rid of it. All the plastics and that we were, generating revenue from, those numbers went down almost 50%. And again, even though we try to find outlets for the glass, like Marissa had said, there's really no outlet for the bottles. So we got hit with the contamination issue from China when we were exporting it, but the value of these materials also dropped substantially from 2007 to 2020. And that was one of the major reasons why Orange County increased their rate from $0 to $106 per ton, 106, I believe.
That's right.
Yeah, I just wanted to just add that in. Marissa, I'm sorry for jumping in. You got it. I just wanted to add that.
Great info.
I have a question. Sorry, this is Jay Rushka. Just to follow up on this single source issue. So I actually live in Tuxedo Park, and we're serviced by a different processor, and we have to put out two buckets, right? We have commingled cans and bottles, and then paper and cardboard in a separate stream. Is that, and obviously that's not the process that you guys are using now, but is that economically viable to look at that as an alternate?
So we've definitely had some conversations over time, Shari and myself, over the last probably year and a half about that. And that's dual stream recycling, which is still very common in Rockland County and in northern New Jersey. Orange County really went single stream probably about 10 years ago. So the issue, it really balances itself out is the ultimate answer. You see, what happens is right now with the single stream, you have the toter for the collection, and that toter is serviced by an automated side load truck. One man on that truck, picking that toter up. Dual stream process requires in this situation, it would require double the truck, double the labor, because the two commodities would be collected completely separate. So while it definitely is a viable option, a lot of the municipalities who go that route may have, and I'm not sure about Tuxedo Park if it's an alternating week schedule or not, but it might be an alternating week, where one week the paper is picked up and then the next week the commingle is picked up. And then the question became, well, what about toters? Do we provide an additional toter to all the residents? So now everybody has 3 cans at their house, or do you store it, to the side, and then you only wheel your toter out, on paper day or commingle day. And then we just, thought the confusion that would come with that would probably, defeat what we were trying to accomplish. So in a nutshell, it's really, the cost structure is about the same at this moment. It wouldn't save you versus the single stream today and the way it's serviced. It's very efficient.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Just to add one more point as we're talking, I'm thinking that it should definitely be mentioned. The reason, one of the reasons why Orange County's price for disposal on trash went up, and that was a pretty significant increase, was because the landfill prices were rising over the last from 2 years, partially because of the recyclables that weren't able to be processed, because when China shut its doors, there was an overabundance of recyclable material, and we didn't have enough processing facilities in the States domestically, and even in other countries, India, in South Korea, Brazil, Italy. There wasn't enough infrastructure in place to be able to handle it, because China was taking approximately 80% of all the recyclables coming out of the United States. So what happened is that some of the less desirable recyclables, ones that people did not want to pay for, wound up going into the landfill from different generators. Landfills now were getting more tons than they had planned for, budgeted for, and the lifespan of their landfills started to shorten. So what they did was they raised their prices. All the landfills raised their prices. And when the landfills began raising their prices, the transporters started doing the same. So that was one of the reasons why, or I believe that was one of the reasons why Orange County had to increase their disposal price at the facility as well. And it was also something that was a pretty significant change from 2017 to where we are today in 2020.
Hi, could I ask you a question? This is Maria May.
Sure.
Would it be helpful because we only get the recyclables once a week, I end up with a blue recyclable bag where we put things there. Would it be most helpful if glass and the other stuff was separate? That way there would be no contamination. Or do you guys hate the bags? I figured it was helpful to have the bags.
Yeah, so the bags are actually problematic, and we'd be more than happy to. Shari and I have talked about this, and I talked with Ken and Donna about this also. Just some education materials that we can also post on the website, or we can email out to the residents. However, we can do a nice blast. So the problem, and that material addresses the problems with bags. what happens is there's trommels that are spinning, and those bags, as they're sorting the material, those bags are actually getting caught in the mechanics of those trommels as they're spinning. And then it actually goes one step further, and it puts there's a real safety risk with the employees on the lines, because then they actually have to go onto these big, machines and pull these bags out. So the bags are actually a problem. Like, I know at home what I do is, if it's a paper bag, paper bag, throw it in. At home, what I do is my separate recyclables. If I have to use a plastic bag for it, I'll take that plastic bag, I'll go out to the recycle, I dump it in loose, and then I just basically, because that recyclable bag's pretty clean, I'll just basically reuse that recycle bag into my next trash, my next trash, and then throw the trash out with that. So I try to kind of repurpose there, when it comes to the bag piece.
Marissa, this is Ken. I'd like to move to the actual cost structure over 5 years. I know we had two alternatives, both priced exactly the same. Since the prices are the same, we have a static first 2 years cost, and then they increase 3% annually.
That's right.
So our year 1 and 2 are at 363,877. An increase of about, let me see, somewhere around $90,000. I is somewhere we're around there. And
3% increase.
I'm sorry?
It was a 3% increase.
Well,
No, he's
not
talking-
over our current rate.
First year.
Right.
I understand.
35%.
I understand years 3, 4, and 5 are at 3%. Absolutely, we understand that. And so I also
5%.
understand the difference between, I don't know if it's alternative 1 or alternative 2, but 1 said that if there were any decrease in price of the tipping fees, we would gain that difference through a reduction in price, but also alternatively, if the rates went up, we'd also have to absorb that. So
That's alternate 1.
alternate 1.
Right.
And then alternate 2 is basically guaranteed figures, but no opportunity for up and down.
Correct.
So very good. So I just wanted to make sure.
And one of the items, really, Joe and I both have been in this business, 20 plus years. This is, we don't see it going down. I mean, Joe, obviously, talked to that too. We've seen not only the disposal going up, where Orange County is in line with the surrounding counties, with Sullivan County, with Ulster County, Dutchess, Bergen, Rocklands. Rocklands at this point, I know that they just came up substantially from 76 a ton to 99 a ton. They were really kind of still a very low, a low leader, but they've come up in terms of the price too. So, and then given the landfill situations, and given the transport, because we don't have landfills right where we are locally, we have to transport all the waste out. We take it to Pennsylvania, out by Scranton, but a lot of hauling companies also have to haul out to northern New York. And then most recently, if anything's going through one of our transfer stations, the one by Mount Fuji, that one we purchased a landfill within the last couple of months, ran to landfill, to try to internalize those costs to keep costs down. So in a nutshell, it's very unlikely that disposal is going to decrease. If anything, the increase in costs are probably on the horizon. So,
Thank you. I understand. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, it seems to me also that it's not just those costs, but also labor costs that have to be under consideration as well. So.
That's right. We are a union shop, so we have union fees to pay. There's the prevailing wage piece in New York State. So without a doubt, of course, the labor piece will continue to rise along with it.
I think Tom Farinaro, our EVP of operations, is trying to, he was trying to add some comments. Tom, can you hear us? I don't know if he's muted.
Is he a caller?
Call in?
Yes.
Okay.
I promise we're getting better at these video meetings, but we're not
This is-
experts yet, that's for sure.
And this is a new one for us. This is the first time on this one.
Okay. I have 6 call-in users, so let me see, what is
You can
Tom?
unmute everybody and then have him speak, and then we'd be able to identify
Okay.
which one he is.
All right, this could be a lot of pushback or feedback, but let's try. I will unmute all, and then Tom speaks so I can identify which one you.
Hello. Go ahead, Tommy.
Okay, that didn't work.
Just, Michelle, just unmute the call-in users individually, not
All right.
everybody.
Okay, so it's Tom, right? Let me try call-in 3. Okay, please, call-in user, please identify yourself.
This is John. I don't know if it's.
Oh,
if I'm
okay,
number
great.
3.
Okay, you're number 3, John. All right, I'm gonna mute you, go to 4.
Can you see the phone numbers? His phone number is 788-4864.
No, it just is identified as call-in user 345678. So call-in user that I've just unmuted, please identify yourself. Okay. Call-in user, I've just I have just unmuted you. Please identify yourself.
The call-in users can't see anything, so they don't know which one you've unmuted.
I know, but
So
you know.
do all 6, and let's see if we can get them that way.
Okay. All right. Well, we know John is 3. I'll unmute everybody.
Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Are you okay, Tom? Oh, you're number
Yes, can
6,
you hear me?
Tom. Okay.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me just unmute everybody else so we don't have too much feedback. Okay. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Tom.
Thank you for allowing me on. My name is Tom Farinaro. I'm the Executive Vice President of Operations for Interstate Waste, and I've been listening to your call, for the last hour. So there was a lot of good conversation. I just wanted to add a few comments. There was a few comments earlier during the recycling part, now during the, the trash part. The dynamic of our industry has changed greatly in the last 3 or 4 years. The recycling side of the pickup, because of the commodities and the pricing of commodities and the demand of commodities. I just real quick, just one comment on plastics. With the price of oil as low as it is today, it's cheaper to make plastics out of virgin oil than it is out of recyclable plastic. So it's hard for us to sell the commodity. The price of it is extremely low, almost to the point where you got to pay to get rid of it. The plastic bags you were talking about earlier that people are using are trash, and that's part of the reason why New York State went to the ban on plastic bags. But people are still using them. Stores still give them out. I know Walmart still uses them, even though it's banned. And, that material for us is a problem to get rid of. We actually have to get rid of it at trash cost. But the landfill, what Joe was talking about earlier, landfill space is now getting at a premium because a lot of landfills that are east of us and north of us have been closing. So the volume of trash from the New England states, even to upstate New York, has been migrating west. So a lot of the landfills now are experiencing volumes that they've never experienced before, and the life of their landfill and the daily capacity of the landfill is getting pressured. So when that kind of volume starts to show up, prices just increase because space is a commodity to the landfill. So then the cost to truck it. Ever since the electronic logs went into the long haul trucking business a few years back when the regulations changed, it costs more now to drive a ton of garbage out to a landfill than it did 5 years ago. So all these costs that we've absorbed through the life of your last contract, we couldn't pass on to you because we were obligated to the contract that we were in at the existing time. But, now, a lot of these agreements as they expire, we just need to catch up. And it's not that, we're looking to make this humongous profit. We're just saying, okay, we weren't able to catch up during the bad times, but we're going to catch up now. So, unfortunately, it reflects into the price that we bid on your agreement, but the cost, like labor costs, disposal costs, recycling costs, trucking costs, even the price of steel. Price of steel now has risen, so it costs us more money to buy a truck. We were able to buy a rear load commercial truck or a side load truck that we use in your town for $240,000. Now those trucks are going for $300, $325 because of the price of steel. So there's just a lot of factors that have we've incurred over the course of the last 3, 4, 5 years that have risen costs on us. That it forces us to when we bid our municipalities now to go and look at them a little differently. So those are just a couple of the items I wanted to bring up, but thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Tom. I had a question back to the 5-year contract. So as Marissa had stated, we've been with IWS for 8 years, 5 years as a contract, and then we went into 3 years we had options to continue, but those actually weren't available to us at this point. So in what we're looking at now, 5 years, excuse me if I didn't understand this, but so do we have the option, so to speak, to lock into a 5-year deal as is outlined here in alternative 2? So not signing up for years 1 and 2, and then it seems to be where we're currently at, that the options are negotiable by both parties or can be declined by either party. My question is, can we lock into a 5-year contract as is stated here?
So to answer your question, Ken, so in the specs, the information for bidders, it's actually number 1 in those specifications, and it states the initial term shall be for 1 year, commencing on September 1st, 2020, and ending on August 31st, 2021. The contract may be extended annually at the town's sole option for 1 to 4 additional 1-year terms. So years 2, 3, 4, and 5. So essentially, by entering into the agreements, the ultimate answer is yes. Because it is the town's sole option, to enter into that agreement for the total of 5 years.
So is that for only alternative 1 or for alternative 2?
For either.
Okay.
Because it said all bidders must submit a price for year 1, year 2, with prices for option years 3, 4, and 5, and the bidder must submit prices for all alternatives.
So it's at the town's discretion if we want to continue, but IWS is obligated to honor that if we choose to exercise that right to continue.
That's right.
And how would you concur on that?
Yes.
So we would enter into the 5-year contract now or after year 1?
No, you would enter into it for 1 year and then renew. And then you would exercise your options. You don't have to exercise the options all at once.
But they're available to us and cannot be.
Yeah, you may want to. It's hard to predict the future, and
Sure.
The spot market prices for these recyclables could change, and that's the one dynamic here that really could change to end up reducing costs. Things turned around in that area. You're not going to get landfills closer. You're not going to get transportation costs cheaper. Labor is not going to go down. The one variable that might result under a certain set of facts is that the recyclable market could come back. And if that's the case, then the landfill prices can go down. But, as if that may not happen, but it might. So why not just wait and see? And you can have that discussion with the bidder in those out years and say, hey, what's the market like nowadays? Would it make sense to switch this somehow?
So if I'm understanding this correct, Howard, so as written, we certainly have the option each year, but that these options can't be taken away from us, that they're there as long as we want to exercise them. And the town has the sole right to choose not to. So IWS cannot renege on these 5-year options. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then that kind of clears it in my mind that it's to the town's benefit. So in essence, Howard, I'm sorry. So in essence, worst case scenario, we could be locked. We could predict the prices that are here from years 1 through 5. I mean, that's basically worst case scenario. That's what's there. If we choose to exercise them, that's the worst case scenario we would see.
Yeah, if you were to exercise each option, that's what your number would be.
And we also have the right for every year to reject the next year's option, and
well, you just won't exercise.
Just won't exercise it, right?
Right.
Okay.
But
you answered my question.
You would do that kind of thing in conversation with the company,
right?
But, if the situation hasn't changed, whereby the market is different, you'll stick with it.
Oh yeah, and that's basically the crux of my question is, we're looking for a long-term arrangement. Well, obviously, we've been with this company for 8 years. We're not looking to go through this every year. If the market didn't change, and no, that's basically where I'm going with this. That because once you get past the first 2 years, then you're at a 3% increase, which is predictable and manageable. I think a 3% is pretty typical of most kind of increases, and so that's what I was getting at. Thank you.
So my question is, will there be a vote on this tonight for award? The reason I ask is because technically the extension expires on Friday, July 31st. So we'd like to enter into the agreement, as soon as possible, because also that August piece just has to be obviously worked out, for that little gap there.
And just to add one little thing. We're operating right now at a loss. We're actually in the negative at the rates that we're at today because of these increases that we occurred in 2017. So it is important to us as well. I just wanted to comment on something that Howard had brought up with regards to having these 1-year extensions at the town's sole discretion. In the event, and he was pretty spot on with, if the recycling market actually takes a turn and there's a huge spike over the next 12 months or 8 months, which really we're not seeing that happening, but you can't really predict the next 12 months. You guys, the town would be in a position to be able to put it back out for rebid, and then we would have an opportunity to come back in and put numbers in, and it may actually be to the benefit of the town at that moment in time because of that. So I think that's important.
Understood. Thank you. Howard, I guess, do you see us needing to go into an executive session to discuss anything or any other town board members? I'm actually prepared to vote on this, but if anybody feels like they want to converse about this offline, or with
I'm
our
ready to
attorney.
go. I think I've had a chance to review it, so, and I have a lot of questions that have been answered, so I'm fine.
So I'm fine. I don't know about Maria.
I am fine too. Yes.
And Jay, did you have any questions you needed to ask Howard offline?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Howard, I think we're prepared to vote on this.
Yes, you are. So you just need a motion to award the contract to the bidder. And you're awarding the 1-year contract. And you're going to diary it so that you can renew it. And so that you can act on the extensions and the options as they come to you.
So I'd like to make that motion to award the contract to IWS. And correct me if I say anything wrong. I believe we're choosing alternative 2, which is the one that basically has the static complement to it, where we're avoiding year 1 of the contract, or we're voting on the award of the year 1 contract, which is at $363,877.20, as per our agreement. Howard, is there anything else I need to add to that?
That's it.
Stop there. Okay. I'd like to make that motion. Do I just do a vote, Howard, or do I need a second?
You need a second. You need a second.
Michelle seconded that. Did I hear that correct, Michelle?
Correct.
Okay, I'd like to take a roll call vote. Michelle, I'm sorry, Jay.
Ken, just so that I'm sure that we're all talking about the same thing. We're taking the option that doesn't have the changes if the tipping fees change.
That is correct. Alternative 2.
Thank you.
So I will do the roll call vote. Michelle Lindsay,
Aye.
Maria May. Unmute yourself, I think.
Aye.
Jay Reichgott.
Aye.
And in English, aye. And since Dave McMillan is not here, that's the 4 of us. So congratulations, IWS.
Thank you.
I look forward to seeing you guys out here on Thursday morning. And my wife gets very happy on garbage day. It seems to be a holiday on Mondays and Thursdays. I wish I got such excitement, but
I'm sorry. I would point out that in the comments, we have a comment from a resident that says, "Why don't the garbage men empty the garbage cans?" And I'm going to say that you guys don't service my house, so I'm not really sure what this is about. So I'm going to.
Yeah. So what I would say is if the resident either can just reach out to maybe Shari at the town hall, just let me know what the address is. And then I'll take a look into what the situation is. I'm not sure if it's the mini packer that might be servicing the home or the ASL isn't tipping properly, but if we could figure out where it is, we could figure out what's going on so we could get that corrected.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So I think we've successfully completed this agenda item, and thank you very much to everybody.
Thank you very much. We look forward to working with the town.
Absolutely. Bye-bye now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
What's our next agenda item?
Well, this agenda item also included cleaning bids. I don't know if we have a presentation on that or if we want to, what we want to do with that.
Okay, thank you for that, Jay. So we only received one bid from our cleaning, from a cleaning contractor. It was not, we did not meet the requirement for a 2-year proposal. So I reached out to Howard and asked, can we now negotiate with the vendor for a reduced service package? Because I wasn't happy with the price and thought we could rescale it down by looking at what our scope of work was to get it more in line with something that I would consider more affordable. And Howard, I believe your response was yes, that we could do that with them. I think the purpose was because there was only one bidder. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, you could discuss it with the one bidder, right?
I could discuss it with the one bidder and basically, okay, so Michelle.
If I might add something, I'm sorry, Ken.
Yes,
I didn't mean
please.
to interrupt.
Absolutely. No, go right ahead.
So the day or 2 days after the bids were finally received, we had one person reach out to us, another cleaning company. They were too late, but they wanted to know if we would accept the bid. Of course, I told them we couldn't unless it went out to rebid. And then somebody else reached out to Marissa. So I wasn't sure if you wanted to reject the bids and let the people who submitted the bid resubmit and then give out the two other ones, or so I just wanted to put that out there.
So did they actually send a bid or did they just call
No,
saying they were interested?
No, the two of them want the bid packet, were requesting the bid packet, but it was after the time frame. So I told them if we went out to rebid for any chance, they could request the packet.
Okay, so we got inquiries for packets, but not actual bids that came in late.
Correct. I think they just
Okay.
got too late.
Okay.
Is what I think.
So I think it still leaves us, but Howard, obviously you're our professional advice here. So to my understanding, Michelle and I were going to set a meeting with the company's president to first of all explain where we're at with this bid, that it was didn't meet the requirement, and first of all see if they would be interested in a reduced package at a more manageable rate. And I think, Howard, if we came back with something that we thought was positive, we would obviously report it to the town board. And then I guess we could decide as to whether we would even want to entertain these other two vendors. But I think that would also require us to go through a whole new bidding process, right, Howard? Or
Yes, yeah. The first choice is to see if you can work out something with the one bidder that you have.
Right.
If you come up with something that's that you feel comfortable with, you're good to go.
Okay.
If, on the other hand, you don't feel that it really meets the needs of the town, then what you would do is you would reject that bid, go out to bid again.
Right.
On the rebid, you would send packages to the three people that have expressed
interest.
One that you couldn't make the reduced deal with.
Great. Go ahead, Jay.
I'm going to say that is how we could do it, and would be legal. I'm not trying to step on the lawyer stuff here, but I'm going to say we got one bid. It wasn't complete. We have interest from two other bidders who were late. Okay, I would rebid it and see where the bids come in, and then we can negotiate with where we want to be. But
this is Michelle. I think that would be great, but we kind of set this time frame based upon trying to get town hall reopened. I don't know how much that would add to our time frame. So if it does add too much time, then I would rather try and negotiate with the one bidder that did get their bid in on time, even though it wasn't completely filled out correctly.
if they got their bid in on time and it was correctly filled out, I tend to agree with you more. But so we got two people who were too late and one person who didn't do it right. I'm not feeling like that is anything special in their favor.
So here's my thinking, Jay, is by having this conversation with this one bidder, it doesn't exclude us going the route that you're saying at all either. I think I might learn more about, what might be reasonably cut and also learn more about this company by speaking with them in their offices.
I was going to call Howard in, but I say that sounds like you're now giving a particular bidder special treatment. Either you rebid it to everybody or you talk to one person. You can't do both.
I agree with Mike, esteemed colleague Jay. And just to answer the question about time, I mean, if you're going to have tonight, reject the bids, and authorize the rebidding, have the rebids come in on Monday, next Monday, and award on, on at your next meeting. So
Okay.
you don't have to waste a lot of time here. You don't need the bids to be outstanding for a long period of time. They're not complicated bids. And for the one whose bid you're rejecting, it's going to look very familiar to him. And the others, they should be able to respond within 3 or 4 days to this bid request.
Okay, so then I
Okay,
just need to work with somebody to look at what are we trying to knock off here to, what are the services we've asked for that we feel like are overkill, so we could basically knock about 30% off what's in there.
Well, one way to do that is to make them all options or all alternatives. Make them alternatives so that you can select from a Chinese menu.
Yes, certain ones are going to be certainly required. There's things in town hall, and I think the train station are and I guess with each site we'd have to look at, okay, these are the non-negotiables. The other ones are more negotiable, for lack of a better word.
Is there
Okay.
some way to have the bid go out as it was, or alternatively, options, 1, 2, and 3, with a base and alternates? Because it seems when you do a base and alternate type bidding that the total bid ends up being more. And I understand why, because they don't know how many. If they're going to get 1 portion, 2 portions, or 3 portions, so the bids come in a little higher. So I understand why, but I just don't want that to happen again.
I'm not sure we have to resolve this in this conversation now, but it's clear that we're not voting on this cleaning contract. I think under Howard, with the comments that we've all gone through, I think we're just going to retool our RFP and try to knock off some of the stuff that seems overkill, and and try to get it down about 30% of what it was an ambitious proposal, and
Okay.
All right, so then we need to vote to reject this bid and rebid it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. I move that we reject the bids that we received for the cleaning contract and rebid it, perhaps with reduced scope.
I'll second that.
You're
I'll
saying
let you call the roll.
perhaps with the reduced scope. Okay.
So we'll take a roll call on that. Jay Reichcott?
Aye.
Ken English? Aye. Maria May?
Aye.
And Michelle Lindsay?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes and don't have the agenda in front of me. I just wanted to, if somebody could help with what's next.
We have to set a public hearing, correct, Howard, for the park rules and regulation amendments that we would like to propose?
Yes, but before you do that, Jay had some suggestions for taking out some language and changing some of the language. The one substantive provision that Jay raised the question about was with respect to swimming or entering the water of the Ramapo. The other changes were more stylistic, and that's not substantive. So I can make those changes. But the substantive question of whether you want to keep in the proposed, no entry into the water, take that out is something we should have clarified tonight before we set a public hearing up.
Well, so let me just, since you brought it up, I mean, I see two issues. I mean, well, I see one issue, and first of all, that's not our river. It might go through our park, but those are waters of the state of New York. I don't know if we have jurisdiction over them.
Yeah, you do, because they have to enter, they're entering the water from your park. And so you don't want them to enter the water from your park.
Okay.
That's the reason for that.
And all right, so fine. And then I guess my question is, like, we allow fishing. So fishing quite often involves walking into the water. Are we going to be preventing fisher folk from entering the water?
Oh, good. Well, you would if they're not entering it in designated fishing areas.
Okay, but isn't the whole reach a designated fishing area? Or we have to define what the designated fishing areas are or aren't, because otherwise, the first time someone who wants to go in to go get their feet wet because it's hot sees somebody in waders go in, I see us opening ourselves up for a due process lawsuit, or whatever the right word is.
So in the suggested, it says fishing only by DEC permit in designated/posted areas was what was suggested. And the signs back in the bubbles area are DEC signs that say, you know, I could actually look at my photo, but it says fishing is permit. Let me go to the actual photo so I say it exactly. On the DEC sign, it says public fishing stream. Activities other than fishing are unlawful. Public fishing rights are restricted to the stream and banks designated by these signs. So restricted to the streams and bank. So to me, that implies, Jay, you know, people in waders to the stream and the banks, obviously the dry land.
No, that's fine. And I more importantly, it says that if you're not fishing, you're not supposed to be in the water. So
Right.
I withdraw my concern.
So we'll keep in then.
I'm okay with keeping that in.
Okay. All right.
The other piece that I had was I can't remember the letter, but we have no alcohol or illegal drugs.
You wanted those separated, and you wanted alcohol with a permit from the town board.
I would like that considered. And because of what we use this park for, picnics, concerts, there are a number of activities that might be conducive to properly regulated alcohol consumption.
Yes, absolutely, and I agree. Howard, I was thinking that under the permit side, that's where those things would be considered. But this is basically what we're talking about for not only signage, but also these prohibited activities. But yes, I had a similar thought as to what Jay's expressing as to separate events when they're issued by permit.
Okay, I can make those changes.
I'm fine with that. And then the only other thing, Jay, I know what you're saying on F about other than within the designated dog run. You're trying to make it a prohibited activity.
Yeah, that might be my OCD acting up. So
no, I get it. It's there's just prohibited activities, and that what you're trying to say clearly is if you're not in the dog park, the dog must be on a 6-foot leash.
Right.
But because it's under prohibited,
right.
So just have to change the language.
I promise I won't bring it up again in Howard's rewrite. Whatever the language he comes up with will be fine.
Fine.
I know where you were going with that.
And Can I ask a question? On B and W, it says possessing or using propane or other flammable cooking devices or barbecues. And the next one says starting a fire in park except in park grills, fireplaces, or designated areas. Doesn't that, those two are redundant or no?
The propane?
Well, I mean, it's like, it's already saying you can only have fires in the designated areas. Do we need the other one also? It seems like a lot of it, you know, you put so many lines in something and people stop reading it.
Maria, I agree with you 100%. And that's why I tried to keep it under 26.
Yeah.
But
they both, they mean the same, right?
Yeah, but the reason that those two clauses are there is because it was reported to us that people are carrying the propane and the barbecues across park property to go use them somewhere on the other side. And we wanted to prevent them from being on park property possessing those things, even if they weren't using them yet. That was the motivation for that provision.
Okay. All right. It makes sense. I just thought they were redundant.
But we can combine it into one sentence so that it doesn't add to the list.
Yeah.
And again, similar to Jay's point about the alcohol, I mean, of course, when people have a permit and they're having a family barbecue or it's a special concert day or whatever, you know, in these controlled environments with permits where there's deposits and the concern is not people leaving trash, you know, because these people, these are reserved spots and times. You know, I just want to make it clear, we're not trying to legislate that out of the realm of possibility. This is for the casual user who doesn't have a permit, who's just coming to the park. I hope I'm making that clear. That's what I believe we're talking about now.
Yes. Okay, so then I think we're good, and you can set a public hearing, and I'll turn these changes around and get them back out to you tomorrow.
I guess we'd set the public hearing for the next town board meeting.
Yeah.
So Donna, can we do? Is there a specific language now we have to state, or can you just put out a public hearing, Donna, notice for?
Donna has a standard resolution for that and a notice.
Okay, great. So we'll be reviewing section 1911 of prohibited activities. I don't know if we're going beyond that. I guess the other thing that we were looking at, so what are the penalties for these violations? So it actually says in the code, a violation of this article shall constitute an offense punishable by a fine not to exceed $50 for each and every such offense. You know, I've been to vehicle and traffic court many times, and they have fines that range up to almost $300 for a parking violation. So I'm not sure the $50 thing is where we want to be. I guess the wording, it should not exceed $50. I'm not saying we're specifically stating for each one of these offenses what the penalty would be, but I just don't know if we want to say should not, would not, could not exceed $50. So I'm just throwing that out there.
I agree. $50 sounds like a user fee, not a fine.
Yeah. I'd be more comfortable if there was a 2 in front of that. Shall not to exceed $250 for each and every such offense. Again, that doesn't mean that's what the fine would be, but that's the at least a maximum amount that could be imposed for any one of these violations.
Can I ask who sets those fees? Do we do, or does the state?
You do.
Okay.
So, I mean, is it up to a justice's discretion based on all of these different prohibited activities? So Is there a minimum threshold, or we're just trying to set a maximum threshold?
Well, you can do both.
I'd be thinking somewhere between 50 and 250, but minimum 50, not to exceed 250.
I don't know. I would say let's
Let the judge do that.
Well, I mean, no. I think we should consider doing that, but maybe we should look around and see what the going rate is, and make our fines a little bit more so they go bother somebody else's park.
And also, if we're going to have enforcement, that also means that we have to pay, a police officer or somebody to enforce the law. So, that's a cost to the town.
So even more evidence, more argument for 250. Sounds like
exactly. I mean, right now we're paying overtime for police to patrol.
So why don't we say, for the sake of argument right now, 250, if Howard comes back and says, there's other towns like Jay saying they're charging 500, I'm just looking for a threshold here. And, it does say for each and every such offense. So if somebody was a multiple offender here, they were parked on the grass, they had a barbecue, they drinking alcoholic beverages, and popping wheelies on their motorcycle, the dog is chasing them, well, we're looking at over $1,000. So so that could be a payday, of punishing the nitwit. And of course, it's up to the justice's discretion. Right. I'm sorry for talking over you.
I'll come back to you with a suggestion on
that. Excellent. Okay, so let's just move forward with setting the public hearing. I don't think we did that, or did I? Did Donna get that?
We have to vote.
Oh, we have to vote on it?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I make a motion to vote on a public hearing set for, what's the next town board? Does anybody have a count?
10th.
August 10th?
Yes.
For Monday, August 10th at 7 p.m., most likely a WebEx. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Michelle Lindsay. I'm going to do a roll call vote, starting with myself. Ken English, aye. Michelle Lindsay.
Aye.
Jay Reichgott.
Aye.
And Maria May.
Aye.
And Dave McMillan is not on today's meeting. So, okay, we're done with that one. Thank you.
Okay. Next is, I have in the packet, the resolution to adopt the fair housing.
Sorry, just my list shows changes to procedure for court prosecutors. I mean, it doesn't matter what order we do them in.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going by the packet. You're right.
Sorry. Yeah. So
let me go back to the agenda. Sorry. Okay, we could talk about the court prosecutor.
So Howard, this was something you and I had been discussing over several weeks. We did pass a resolution appointing a prosecutor to then have a file of vetted prosecutors from which could be, I guess, for lack of a better word, stand-in. It seems like we got more clarity that we should appoint one person as a prosecutor who then has the authority to go to not appoint, but to assign a fill-in, so to speak, if I'm explaining that correctly. Howard, help me out there. So we're trying to actually appoint somebody to officially be the prosecutor who then has the authority to call in a substitute. Over.
you got to unmute yourself, Howard.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said, Ken.
Let me say that.
Well, what you want to do is you want to appoint one person as the principal prosecutor, and give that prosecutor the authority that if he's unable, or she is unable to attend court on a particular day and time where a prosecutor's attendance is required, that he then will notify a stand-in to attend in his place.
That's it. And that's it in a nutshell. Exactly. I don't think we clearly did that in our last resolution. So that's the clarity we're looking for.
So then the resolution is to make the appointment, right?
Yes.
Okay. You want to make that?
And when you make the appointment, you want to also, want to have the short list of alternates from which they will choose. You talked about that as well. But, you don't want them just going out picking their friends. You want somebody that's going to be qualified, and you had interviewed some people and determined that some people are qualified to appoint. So you'd like the substitute to be chosen from that list.
Yes. That was the wording that we had in the resolution, and I do support that notion. So that was something we did agree on. Again, I think the only loose end was appointing one person as the prosecutor, who then has the authority to draw from that list for a substitute.
Okay, so then there's a motion to appoint somebody blank as the vehicle and traffic prosecutor for the town of Tuxedo. And on such occasion where he or she can't attend, that he shall then pick Mr. Z to attend in his place.
Can pick an alternate from the approved
So they
list. That's it.
So you just need a name.
I do have a name I want to put in nomination. So should I just proceed with that, Howard?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Donald K. Sanford, Esquire, as the town vehicle and traffic prosecutor, who has the authority, when he can't attend, to pick an alternate from an approved list. Do I have a second for that?
Second, Michelle.
Seconded by Michelle. Any discussion by town board members?
Yeah, this is Jay. This is one of the two gentlemen that we interviewed earlier this year, or the end of last year, whenever it was.
Yes, he's actually been functioning as our prosecutor for quite some time.
Okay, just very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other discussion, Maria?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, I'd like to take a roll call vote. Michelle Lindsay?
Aye.
Ken English, Supervisor? Aye. Maria May?
Aye.
And Jay Reichcott?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. So Howard, I guess, do we need Howard to write that up, or did we capture that in our minutes, and is that
I got that.
sufficient? Okay, thank you very much, Donna. Okay, what was next? I think we had fair housing.
Resolution.
Yeah, I have the resolution here. If you have it in front of you, or do you want me to read it?
I don't have it in front of me. Yes, if you would read it, that would be fantastic.
Okay, I'd like to make a resolution. I'd like to make a motion that the town adopt the following fair housing resolution. The Town of Tuxedo supports Title 8 of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the federal fair housing law, and the New York State Human Rights Law. It is the policy of the Town of Tuxedo to implement programs to ensure equal opportunity in housing for all persons regardless of race, color, religion, ancestry, sex, including pregnancy, national origin, nationality, familial status, marital or domestic partnership status, affectional or sexual orientation, typical hereditary cellular or blood trait, genetic information, liability for military service, mental or physical disability, perceived disability, AIDS, HIV status, and lawful income or source of lawful rent payment, Section 8. The town of Tuxedo further objects to discrimination in the sale, rental, leasing, financing of housing or land to be used for construction of housing, or in the provision of brokerage services because of race, color, religion, ancestry, sex, national origin, handicap, or disability as prohibited by Title VIII of the Civil Rights Act of 1968, the Federal Fair Housing Law, and the New York State Human Rights Law. Therefore, the Town Board of the Town of Tuxedo does hereby approve the following resolution. Be it resolved that the Town of Tuxedo shall publicize this resolution, and through this publicity shall cause owners of real estate, developers, and builders to become aware of their respective responsibilities and rights under the Federal Fair Housing Law, the New York State Human Rights Law, and any local laws or ordinances. Be it further resolved that the municipality will at a minimum include, but not limited to, 1, the printing and publicizing of this resolution, a fair housing public notice, and other applicable fair housing information through local media, community contacts, and placement on the municipal website and in other social media. 2, distribution of posters, flyers, and other means which will bring to the attention of those affected the knowledge of their respective responsibilities and rights concerning equal opportunity in housing. I think that's it, right? Oh, wait, hold on a second.
Nope, you got it.
That's it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a second?
I will
I
second
second.
that. You can too,
Okay.
Maria. That's fine. Sorry.
I second
Who
that.
shall it be? Maria? Okay, I'll do a roll call. Ken English?
Is there any discussion needed on
Oh,
that?
I'm sorry. Discussion?
Just one of the reasons, I mean, obviously we all, well, I won't speak for everybody. I assume we all feel this way anyway, but the reason that this is coming to this particular meeting is this is one of the requirements for our community development.
Block grant, yeah.
Yeah, that thing. And we didn't do it last year and they called us on it. So we're making sure to cover it this year.
Yeah, I think we actually found out that it was on their side that they forgot to be asking for this. They had some turnover in the reviewers or something. But yes, this is a requirement for federal grants and I would imagine other grants as well. But I would also want to just point out, I do stand behind this 100%. And I'm enthusiastically looking forward to voting for this. Thank you.
Same.
Other discussion? No? Okay. All right, I'll take a roll call. Ken English.
Aye.
Jay Reichgott.
Aye.
Maria May.
Aye.
Michelle Lindsay. Aye. Thank you. Okay, next is the award of the contract for the ADA projects.
Right. You got this one or do you want me to do it?
Why don't you go ahead and do it? Yeah.
Okay. So just as our 2019 Community Development Block Grant project were ADA accessibility improvements to Town Hall, which we bid earlier in the year and all bids came in too high. So we rebid it as a base bid with options, and at the same time also got more money from the county for the project. So we bid it with options and are able to cover all the options anyway. There were several bids. The lowest qualifying bid was a company called Westar Tech Services Corporation in the amount of just over $198,000, which is almost $100,000 less than our grant amount, so we have plenty of money. So I make a motion that we award the ADA door and gender neutral ADA bathrooms contract to Westar Tech Services Corporation in the amount of $198,405, including the base bid, alternate 1, and alternate 2.
I second.
Discussion? I'd like to say a lot of work has gone into this, both in the design, the coming up of writing the grant proposal, multiple bids, and a lot of work this is the 20th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that we are bringing our building a big step closer to being in conformity to that purpose and legislation. I am proud to say that this town board is accomplishing that, and I'd like to really thank you guys who worked on it. So Jay on making the engineering and the bid side, and Michelle for being persistent and getting this going through. I guess you probably started this well over a year ago, and thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you.
Michelle
Well,
most definitely did the lion's share of this one. I just sort of picked up some of the loose ends at the end. I'll offer one other point of information. We're going to try to use some of the extra money and the grant money to also bring the women's restroom on the second floor into compliance as a unisex, multi-sex, whatever, gender neutral, accessible restroom as well.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'd like to thank, Jay, thank you so much at the, when you came on board to help me finish this up with the engineering, and also Al Fusco for his help in helping me get the grant in and done.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, Don.
I'm sorry, say that again about the girls' room down on the second floor, Jay?
So the bid as it currently stands, the project as it currently stands, is a new ADA accessible ramp for the courtroom.
Oh, ramp, okay.
Improvements to the ramp on the back of the building that currently enters the community room.
Right.
And the creation of a accessible restroom on the first floor down by the courthouse, by the courtroom.
Oh, okay, so that
Because
clock, that is going to be that room by my office.
By your office, right? We're gonna
Okay,
you're gonna have to move some of your files.
That's what I thought, okay.
The existing restrooms on the first floor are not accessible because of the stairs.
Right, okay.
But what we don't have currently is an accessible restroom on the second floor.
Oh, right, okay.
But the ladies' room on the second floor is big enough that, mostly with changing some fixtures and some more, grab rails, things like that, we could make that into an accessible restroom. So, we'll have a non-accessible men's room. I guess we could make them both unisex if we could talk about that.
Gotcha.
But it'll basically bring the entire building into reasonable compliance.
Thank you.
And the other thing is we're adding automatic doors, which is, and ramps and guide rails. So that'll be great.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, I left the doors up.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I have no further discussion. I only wanted to highlight for the public that this is a major step forward, and I can't wait to vote for it.
Okay, so I forget, oh, Jay, you made the motion.
Oh, well, that's okay. You guys can read the name. All right, fine. I'll just ask Maria, did you have any other questions? You didn't say anything.
No, I have been following the project all along, and I think that this sounds really exciting. I'm so glad, and I did see the application. It's literally like 100 pages. It's huge. So thank you, Michelle and Jay, for doing this work.
It's our pleasure. Okay, then fine. I'll call the vote. Mr. English,
Aye.
Ms. May,
Aye.
Ms. Michelle,
Aye.
and me, aye. Yay. All right, so,
I can't believe it's done.
all right. Let them know. Tell them that they need to get started.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
Michelle, on to your next project. No rest for the weary.
Oh my goodness.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you to Jay. Okay, next item. Department head update, right? I didn't miss anything, did I?
Well, we didn't ever
Oh,
do
so back?
well, right. We went from board updates. We did the presentations first because we
Right.
had people waiting.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
But we
Go
have
back
topics
to-
for discussion, which we could do before or after reports. It's other, just.
Well, I can take the first one. Applications for COVID-related FEMA funds. I didn't realize that Lieutenant Norton is going to be on vacation this week, and so we'll take this up next go around. The basic thing is that the Community Development Block Grant department that we just worked with the ADA, they also have funds available for COVID-related additional costs to municipalities, but we can't, apply to cover the same costs at both places. So we have to coordinate both of those applications because Lieutenant Norton is applying directly to FEMA. So we just have to make sure when we apply to CDBG that we're not applying for the same costs.
So I have a question related to that. So does the CDBG have a cost threshold for COVID-related expenses? Because I understand the Homeland Security one that Lieutenant Norton is applying for. I believe there's a threshold of like $163,000 that we would have to meet, and I don't know of how we get to that threshold. I haven't seen a tally yet, but I guess my question is if the other one doesn't have that threshold, and it would seem to me that in case they cross some of our things off the list, it wouldn't make us ineligible like where the other one would if we didn't have approvable expenses that reached 163,000. As far as I understand, you wouldn't get anything. So
Okay.
that would be a consideration that I'd like to make sure we're pondering when we compare the two and look for overlapping expenses. I think that's what your point is, right, Michelle? We're not trying to so-called double dip on these things.
Exactly. So I guess what we have to find out is, according to what you're just saying, is whether our costs meet that 163,000.
And if not, it seems
And
like
if
your
not-
option is the one to go for, because first of all, if you don't meet that option, then you can't even apply. To my understanding, certainly we'd have to work with Lieutenant Norton and anybody else who is more savvy to the exact specifications of that grant. But I seem to recall Lieutenant Norton saying 163,000, and of course, we don't want to just add frivolously to that list. These should be obviously genuine expenses that were COVID related.
Okay.
And I would think, certainly overtime for the police, the things that are going on right now. and any of the equipment we needed to buy, cones and all the PPE, is that what it's called? Personal protective equipment and things like that.
All right. So,
Cleaning supplies.
so I guess you're right. We have to find out if that's truly a threshold and where we stand right now in the
Right.
cost he's accumulated.
Okay.
All right. And I could take the next two. The parking lot on the post office property is something that we would like to consider in our consolidated funding application as soon as that opens up. We had the public hearing last week. And so we can't take any action on this because it's still in development. So we'll postpone that to the next one. And pretty much that goes along with the next item, CFA grant matching funds. We won't know what that amount is until we know the total costs of the projects that we will be applying for.
Okay.
It has to be deferred to next meeting. Okay, Jay, you want to talk about the graphics?
So one of the, law of unintended side effects, over the last couple of meeting cycles, we've been doing a lot of talking about various signs up and down Route 17. And I realized that there's this billboard in Quarry Field that's advertising an event that happened over a year ago. And when I went to find out, because, I'm kind of new in this town, from Donna, whose billboard that was, so we could call them up and say, hey guys, could you fix your billboard? I discovered we were them. So I think that we should change that billboard to something more, either more timely or more timeless, so we don't have to change it quite so often. So between Donna and myself, we decided it made more sense to have her face on it than mine, but neither of those were probably a good idea. So I don't know if this is something I saw. I'm not sure if it was Michelle or Maria who suggested maybe some of the images that we're currently looking to be using on our new website, it would be a place to put something there, or a welcome to Tuxedo, or if we want to talk to the Tuxedo School District and see if they want a sign that sort of mirrors the sign that they have on the way out going south, trying to drum up more students for their program or something. I don't think that we want to get into the commercial sign business for advertising, but we have the sign, we should be using it for something better.
Yeah, I had contact when we first started talking about changing the sign several months ago. I contacted the company that Dave McMillan had used for that sign. It's called CompuGraphics, and the printing alone, just the printing itself, is $800. So what we need to do is develop a graphic, and all of those things you suggested, Jay, we could consider. Also, we might think about asking the subcommittee on marketing, which is a subcommittee of the Economic Development Committee, to maybe get them to collect ideas and make a suggestion.
So you and I talked about this. We've been even in our WebEx, we're talking about live, work, play, Tuxedo. We have this new website that we're going to be unveiling really soon. Jay was talking about how do you keep things fresh. So if this billboard were really guiding people towards our website that has the potential to constantly be updated, just promoting this is where you learn more about Tuxedo. But that whole Orange County thing about live, work, play in the Hudson Valley, tie that into Tuxedo, I think, and some of the images that'll be on our new website. And again, this is something I think we're also imagining is updated at least on an annual basis, if not more. I mean, maybe we could figure out how that would be paid for, but certainly, you get sign blindness after 6, 8 months, seeing the same sign. So we have an opportunity to promote our new website, Tuxedo, with these themes that are in sync with Orange County development strategies. And but certainly, your committees have been doing great work, and I think with those ideas that we've been discussing, we can come up with something really nice.
If I can add, I was in the marketing committee, and we did have a discussion about that particular sign. And, one of the things, so our logo for our website is the gateway to Orange County. We thought about having that in that sign. And definitely the live, work, play is in our website too. So those are both ideas that we can add. Our website was approved today, the layout. So now it's like the pictures and the content. We can take a look at it later if you guys want to.
Yeah, and just somewhere on that sign that really guides people to the URL of the website, and that's where you keep it fresh, get people to keep going back to the website. So yeah, I think that's what we need to do. So what do we need? A resolution to approve, authorize a payment for that once we approve the copy for what we're trying to see up there.
Well, I mean, we will need that. I mean, is it? I don't know. So if we have, we have a meeting in 2 weeks. That's certainly enough time, it would seem, to have some, basic copy
ideas,
and have the committee have a chance to weigh in if they have another idea. Do we want to sort of get storyboards for next meeting and see if we can have a basic idea of what we're going to put there?
Sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, I don't think we need a resolution for that.
Right. So
I'm getting resolution happy over here. I don't know.
he's enjoying this.
I understand the headset's not to hold the microphone, it's to keep your ears.
That's it.
So Maria, you and I can touch base with the rest of the marketing committee and see if we can do it for next meeting or the meeting after.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. That's it. So now we can go back to department head updates.
I will say, if there's popular acclaim, I have a picture of my head you could put on that board if that's what everyone decides.
Actually, if you wouldn't mind, I wanted to just take a minute to show the basic structure of our website.
Great.
If people want to just take a minute, I'm going to share my
Let's do
screen.
it. Looking forward to it.
Share content. So this is what the picture might not be exactly that, but that's what it's going to look like.
Can you go over it so we see the logo?
Yeah. Sorry. So this is our logo, Gateway to Orange County, New York. And then, these are like things that people go through all the time to get stuff that we need, log into our meetings, so on. And then this is Live, Work, Play Tuxedo. So here is things that would be updated regularly. This would be things that would open up into a menu where we could get things about tourism and activities and things like that. And then economic opportunities would be like a way of letting people know, what's available in town in terms of businesses. And you see Live, Work, Play Tuxedo. And then this is our calendar, events, and then here are other things like tourism, hiking trails, park, historical landmark, code, GIS. The code is in here. The code is also in the in here. About Tuxedo.
Right?
Not on the buttons.
Oh, okay.
because would have had to add 2 buttons.
Ah,
So it's in 4 different places on the website. So I think that one or the other, it is the first in here, quick links. So, and then about Tuxedo is where we're going to talk a little bit about our town, about the fact that we are a town village and so on. So, and then of course, each of these things, so let me go back. Each department kind of looks like this. Where this is like, you know, information, we can put pictures and things like that. But each department will be able to update their own information and have contacts and so on. The information is linked in many different places that we can get to.
so if you update, you say, for instance, the code is in 4 different places. So if it gets updated in one, it gets updated in all, right?
Yes,
Perfect.
right. Yep. Okay, great. I'm going to stop sharing.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Thank you, Maria. We really look forward to moving that
Yeah,
forward, and
you guys have done a heck of a job.
it's going
I've
to be
had
great.
some volunteers from town, actually from the marketing committee, to help with like populating it now, like what goes in each link. I do have like a map of it, like looking at other towns, what makes sense to go where. But I think that it would be helpful if, you know, other people would help on that. It's exciting to get a website started from the beginning, so it's kind of an honor. I
Excellent.
think that's it.
Thank you. And Deirdre, who else helped you? Or what, the
Deirdre,
whole
Sue, sure.
Blue Share, right?
Vincent Capozzi, um,
I think who else is on that committee?
yeah, Noreen
Maureen.
Fennel, yeah. I think those were the main people. You,
We'll have to put a little thank you tab somewhere on the website. At least when we first get it up.
For the
you know.
photographs, we had Betty Landberg was also helpful. She was helpful in terms of looking. Meg Bott gave us some, and Shari gave us some insight, and Dave.
Jeff.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
And
Jeff Welch, didn't he help a lot with that?
Jeff Welch did a lot of the pictures, and Betty Langberg's son-in-law. Also, all the pictures will be attributed to the photographers, but he had some beautiful pictures too. So yeah, so this was like a community effort.
Is it time for public comments?
I think we do that. Let me see. I think we do that after department head updates.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Let me go back. And there's no other business, is there, that's come before the board? I don't think so. All right, department head updates.
I don't know if Rob is on the phone.
He was.
I know the chief is on vacation.
Rob was on. Let's see if I can find him. No. He might be a call-in. Let's see. I'm gonna unmute the call-in users. Rob, are you on one of the calls?
Yes, I'm here. Yes, I'm here because there's thousands of people now.
Okay.
We're so happy to be there. We're happy to be there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because that's 600 a week ago. So.
No, wait, no, sorry. Got the wrong one. Okay.
Hello.
Rob, you're there, right?
He got him now.
Okay. How's everybody?
Great, Rob.
Doing well, I hope. Okay. What do we have? Well, we don't have a lot going on. Basically, still doing some patching. We have 3, maybe 4 more days on East Monbassia, and we're done pretty much for the year with all our blacktop work. We're sweeping up the loose stone now from our chip sealing as we can, and once the blacktop work's done, we'll be able to get on that a little more, but we cleaned up the intersections and all, and then we'll get it ready to have the lines striped and all that on the road. We're still slowly getting caught up on trimming the sides of the roads, the fields, the parks and police station, all that. So, and we're working on the dirt pile. I heard you say that earlier, Ken. For some reason, I got kicked off the computer a couple times. So, and that's it. Oh, the billboard. The billboard is the only thing about the billboard that I have to say is we put the canvas up. There's straps and that we did that. So we have the original canvas that was from 2 years ago. If that helps to, you can paint over it. I don't know how that works. Dave was kind of in charge of all that, but we can paint over the original canvas. We save all that money for the canvas. So I don't know if, what you want to do with that, but that's it. That's all I got. Oh, mulch. We still got mulch there. And if it does get empty, we'll fill. And that's about all I got.
Well, I just also re-acknowledged, I saw your guys out there before the movie night, making sure everything was spick and span and the grass was cut and the trash that we've been dealing with was removed. So thank you. And the work that you're doing at the Long Meadow Road property to remediate the consent order from the DEC is really impressive to me. And I've communicated with the DEC site monitor many times about this. And he clearly states that he is just so impressed with what the town is doing now to remediate a problem that's been there for 10 years that, no, that is a major step forward. And thank you.
Yeah, yes, no problem. What was I going to say about the dirt? I am still talking with Nathan Washburn from the Watchtower. He was this week somebody will be there this week to see if and what they can do to help us process, keep going. And people, operators, and maybe a little more equipment would be a nice thing, but we'll see. I'll keep you posted on when they're going to come. But that's it. That's
thank you. I definitely would want to be there with you, Rob. But I was involved with some preliminary discussions with them, and this is pro bono work to just help us mitigate and actually remediate completely a problem that's been lurking there for over a decade. So look forward to resolving this.
I don't want to say the good neighbor policy, but we'll see. Everybody's a good neighbor until they're not. So, so
we'll take it under consideration.
I'm very wishful.
Jay, you wanted to say something, Jay?
Yeah, just because I run into this all the time as an engineer.
Yes.
Operators who are volunteers aren't employees of anybody and therefore aren't covered by workers' comp or any other, let's just make sure the insurance is all lined up.
Well, from what he's explaining to me is an earth moving company, a large earth moving company in the area, from our area, who wants to step in and help out as a donation to Watchtower. So they would have, they would have everything in line, but we will make sure they do.
Okay, yeah, just,
Yep, yep.
I got horror stories I can tell you, but this isn't the right venue.
Yeah, no, I got horror stories too. So, yeah, I got it.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Rob.
Donna?
Yes, Donna.
We think it's Donna might have a report as
Oh,
our town clerk.
okay.
Unless you
I'm gonna
have
say-
anything else to add, Rob.
No, I'm done. No, I'm done, Ken. I kind of went down my list and I can't think of anything else at the moment. So, thanks for the opportunity. And
Thank you, Rob.
Well, I'm not going to say goodnight yet. I'll hang on for the rest. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. The town hall's running smoothly. Looking forward to being able to have people pay fine. We even had one complaint that we wouldn't let people in, or if we do let them in, we take their temp, write down in the log who they are, who they're seeing. It's working out perfect this way. Most people are grateful because they're still very fearful of COVID. On another note, my ex-husband passed away yesterday. My son unfortunately found him, and I want to shout out to the police department because there's been a lot of negativity with the police department, not doing their jobs and this and that. But I have to tell you, Gerard Shiloh was the first on the scene. He made my son feel comfortable. He stayed with him throughout the whole time till I got there. Um, and Will Hall stopped by to check on everybody. Lieutenant Norton came by. I mean, and they were all there as our neighborhood friends, not just as police officers. And my family really appreciates their efforts and their help. So I wanted to say that on behalf of my family. And as far as Powerhouse Park and all of that, the residents of Eagle Valley, which were up in arms and all coming to my house and calling me, as well as Sherry, have all decided, okay, these people weren't going away right away, so they're going to help the situation. And like you said, Ken, they went down there and started cleaning up. Me as well. We all went down and started cleaning up. And I want to thank all the residents of East Village for doing that, and your wife, Ken. It was a nasty job, and people left very nasty things laying around, which I can't even believe humans would do that. But everybody just went in there, brought their own bags, their own gloves, and cleaned up. And hopefully we're on the upward swing with that. And I stopped down to see Shiloh yesterday, was manning the gates, as he calls it. And people were coming in still. He was very nice the way he explained to them that it wasn't open for swimming and everything. And so I just want to thank the police department for all that they've been doing. They've really stepped up, and East Village is now a happy place. And by the way, if you saw me step away from my computer before, I had my dog outside and I heard him going wild. So I just went over there and looked, and there was a bear in my yard. So, so I'm sorry if I missed anything, but I saved my dog. And that's about it. Everything else is going well.
So Donna, this is the first I heard of the passing of your ex-husband, and I'm sure I could speak for the town board to say we share your grief and our sincere condolences. I'm very sorry to hear this.
Thank you. My kids will appreciate that.
To tag on to what you were saying about how you've been managing, how town hall has been managing, the court is scheduled to open on August 5th. So we're working with the court cooperatively on plans that pretty much are in place already, how we will limit the traffic. Part of it has to do with our town prosecutor, who will be working on this backload of cases, many of them now by direction of the Orange County DA office can be a plea can be entered prior to court, negotiating with the prosecutor. That, of course, is then reviewed by the justices. So the courts understand these backloads of cases, and so we'll be working together to ensure that the traffic is manageable. I think we're not allowing more than 10 people in the building at any time. We'll have one direction of traffic from the front door out the side door of the court. And so we'll be definitely finalizing that before August 5th. As far as Powerhouse Park goes, this has been a multi-pronged approach. It is not over. It's a lot of it is the persistence of the plan. You know, I've been there almost every morning, especially on the weekends, working with the police. We've been going over our town code. That's what we just finalized even tonight, making sure that the police understand what absolutely is enforceable right now that will deter this traffic. Most of the people that are going back there into the bubbles, they want to barbecue, drink, swim. These are things that are already not permitted. So the police were very, rightfully so, adamant about making sure that what we asked them to do is enforceable, and we assured them that this is according to code, both town code and DEC state law. So unfortunately, I just got a text from Sergeant Russell that he's there again tonight and found a fairly large crowd. So I think they're probably not only just coming in through the parking lot, but they're probably dropping people off along the train tracks. And, you know, so our work is not done by any stretch of the imagination.
I was told also that the MTA should be alerted because they will send their police to monitor the tracks. And I think that's what we need to do next, because up by Rhino, you know, the landscaping, I have witnessed myself people pulling in there and they're dropping their kids off and they're getting out of the car with their, you know, people that live across Stevens Lane have been telling me that as well, that they see people pulling up by the train tracks. Kids are getting out and running up on the train tracks and running behind there. Somebody's going to get hit by a train. And
No, it's definitely a mix. It's a mix of, you know, the tradition of local residents, but the real tsunami has been caused by COVID-19.
Right.
You know, there are actually two issues. You know, there's certainly the issue of kids, you know, swimming in a dangerous spot. That's a 100-year problem. We all know that. The tsunami of the trash is definitely something new and requires. It's going to be, you know, a persistent problem of enforcement and locals as well, because damn, if this was happening up here where I live in northern Tuxedo at Tiki Field, you know, my wife and myself would be out there, you know, making sure that anybody that was doing something against the rules, they'd hear it from residents as well. So certainly we have the police to enforce it. We all have to see something, say something. We are going to stay ahead of this. We are going to continue, you know, the police. We're bringing in part-timers, especially on the days like today was another record heat day. You know, I can assure you, though, I was there Saturday, Sunday. We were able to keep the commuter parking lot virtually empty. We intercepted cars before they even came into the parking lot. No trash was left. No one. Clearly the message was no. None of this stuff is permissible in our park, and certainly also not in the wooded area of what you guys fondly call the bubbles. That's a new word to me. And but it's a beautiful spot that will return to its natural beauty through all of our efforts. And I just want to tell, I know the residents know I've been out there almost every morning because I stop and say hello to people. And all the way from the trailhead down to our Tuxedo train station. So, you know, I can't say the problem is solved, but it ain't for lack of trying. It's definitely moving in the right direction, but no, we are going to continue this to make sure this is resolved.
It totally is. But what about the MTA getting involved?
Oh, absolutely. Pipsy, MTA, Tuxedo Police, State Police. No, this has got to be all hands on deck, everybody alerted as to how we deal with this. And, I'm sure I'll be speaking with Sergeant Russell right after this meeting and make sure that he has, because he was actually out for the last couple of weeks, and make sure that he's up to speed with what we're doing here, and that no, this is not absolutely not permissible. These people need to be asked to leave immediately, and they cannot leave the junk there. That they have to carry it out with them as they leave.
Right. So should somebody call the MTA?
Yeah,
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
saying. How
I'm
will
going
they
to.
know?
Yeah,
How will
no,
they know?
I'm sure they already coordinate with the MTA police, but we're just gonna make sure that I've had meetings with the new commissioner of Palisades and State Park Commission. He absolutely understands this problem, and we're gonna make a collective effort. The DEC police. Oh, I met with the officer Nicole. I have a card here on my desk. She immediately went out there as part of the enforcement. And so we have the DEC police, obviously, the Tuxedo police are our lead agency, the MTA police, Palisades Instant State Park police, and my wife will get a badge. And let me tell you, she'll probably be on everybody. So
I just
I'll
don't want
make
to
it.
see somebody get hit by a train.
No, I understand.
Just,
Absolutely. So
thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. I'm all good.
Do we have any other department heads? I don't believe we do. Michelle, if you're talking, you need to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, Dave Mankish is calling.
Oh, yes. Okay, great.
Let me unmute him.
So I'm sure you seem like the type of person that would have called them out on it.
Okay, Dave, your mic is live.
Ben,
Dave, your mic is live.
On the go, you're just kind of.
I think he's on a phone call. I'll.
Okay, hold him. I'll text him. Could you mute his microphone, please?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Let me know when he's ready to get on, and I'll unmute him. You want to hop ahead to? I think. Let's see. That's it for department heads. We could go to public comments while we're. Oh, Brian. Let me see if Brian has anything. Brian?
Yeah, no, I don't have anything, Michelle. Other than, did anyone have any questions on the vouchers or?
Nope. Any
That's all I got.
questions for Brian?
No, I just ready to read the voucher report, and there was some explanation there that I will also read as well. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, so we could go to public comments then?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's see.
Maybe if anybody wants to submit them by
I could go
chat
by,
or go. Yeah, I think you did a great job last time just going down the callers.
okay. Lynn, you're unmuted if you, or is Lynn on the call?
I think I heard it from the other room say no comment.
Okay. All right. Let's see, hold on. Deirdre. Deirdre, do you have any comments?
Where am I?
I hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes.
Oh, well, then I never was muted. Okay. No, I just wanted to thank Maria for all of her work on that website. It looks great, and I know how hard that is to do. So any help you need, just call me. But I know, thank you for all that. That was a lot of work.
Thank you. Thank you for your help. I was thinking Deidre was another person who helped, and also Marissa helped as well.
Oh, right. Yes.
Takes a village.
Does. Yes.
Definitely.
A town village.
And I will be taking you up on that, Deidre.
A consolidated town village.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Deirdre. Let me go to Hank. Hank, I've unmuted you if you have a comment.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I was wondering, I wasn't going to say anything, but my neighbors and I emptied we separate recyclables from regular garbage, and then when the truck comes, they just dump it all in the same truck. I was wondering if anybody else had that happen. And also, I was never told to not include glass with the recyclables. I don't know when that came about. I read my junk mail, but I didn't see anything about that. That's all. Thanks.
Junk mail is definitely permissible, and I'm still not 100% clear on the glass thing, Hank. So IWS is absolutely open to providing us with a little quote unquote workshop to explain, what is permissible recyclables. I know I had learned about not making sure you don't put recyclables in a plastic bag and then put it in there. That I've learned and overcome that misunderstanding. So I think we all need clarity, and this is the perfect time to do that, Hank. So I'm gonna make sure that gets on our agenda real soon, if not the very next meeting. So thank you.
Yes, please. I need that too. Obviously,
We
I
all
was
do.
doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
get that straight.
And
Thank you, Hank.
It has to be more than just the people here that are going to be informed.
Oh, absolutely.
Somehow it has to be everybody.
And they have stickers I've seen on a lot of the recycling bins that show you what's recyclable. So I'll ask them that gets distributed for everybody's recycling bin. So as you go to put something in it, this sticker literally shows you graphically what you can put in and what you can. And as I was preparing for this bid, I went and researched this stuff, and these stickers are very helpful because you cannot open the lid without looking and seeing what is permissible and what isn't. So we'll definitely move that forward. Thank you for your suggestion.
Idea. That'll work. That'll work.
Yeah, it really is helpful. And I don't know why we all don't have that now, but we'll get them.
Okay, who's next in line? Irene. Irene, I've unmuted you if you have a comment.
No, I'm good.
Great. Thank you. Isabel?
Hi, no, thank you.
Okay. Hi, Terry. You have a comment? He might be otherwise engaged at the moment. Someone, let's see, Johnny. Okay. Mary Gretzer.
Nope, nothing for me.
Thanks. Sue Scher.
Nothing, but it was a very good meeting, very thorough.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's it, Ken.
Excellent. So I think we're ready for the vouchers. I'm going to read what's here first. The following vouchers have been audited by the town board and approved for payments. We have claim numbers 201-291-7088 through 201-291-7. My copy here was missing the last. No. Oh, wait. Do you have that on my packet? We're missing. Maybe Brian can help us out with those.
My error, I didn't put in the last, I'm sorry.
No problem. I'll read what's below, and if we can get those last three numbers, then I'll just reread it. But there's some clarification here about some of the rentals for the remediation at the Long Meadow Road property. So I'll just read those. Voucher number 20129171114 is out to Komatsu America Corporation. That's $25,030.94 rental of machines for what we call the dirt pile remediation. There's 201-291-7137 and 201-291-7138 for $7,468.33 and $12,467.67 respectively, excuse me. These vouchers included $9,175.34 of expenses related to the DiMarino lawsuit.
And the last four numbers is 7153.
7153. Yep.
So claim numbers 201-291-7088 through 201-291-7093. Did I remember that correctly?
7153.
7153. Thank you.
Correct. Sorry about that.
No problem. Into the record. So I'll make a motion. Would anybody second that one? To accept the vouchers?
Michelle, second.
Michelle, second it. Any discussion? Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Maria May?
Aye.
Jay Reichcott?
Aye.
Michelle Lindsay?
Aye.
And Kenneth English, aye. According to my flow chart, we're at the ever popular adjournment.
Well,
Unless
we're not
waiting
adjourned.
on-
Help me out then.
Okay.
Where are we at?
Go ahead.
Okay, we're going into executive session, so we're not adjourning the meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, before that, are we hearing from the building official or is he?
Oh,
not
yeah.
gonna
Let me
report?
see if I got a
Thank you,
text
thank
from
you.
him. He never responded to my text, so I don't know if he got it.
All right, let me see if I could find him. Oh, he's dropped.
He's
Okay.
dropped. Okay, so I guess he can submit his report in writing.
Yes, absolutely. I'll email him that.
So are you opening the other chat room then, or how are we doing this? Bye,
Oh, yeah,
Brian.
right. I forget how we do this.
Good night, Brian.
So are we consulting with our attorney or is this an executive session?
It's kind of the same thing, but I mean,
Well, if it's an executive session, we're supposed to stipulate as to what the general topic is.
well, I'd like to know, what's the general topic?
Let's see. I guess it's contracts and litigation.
Okay, sounds good to me.
All right. So
Is Howard's still with us, right?
let's see. Yes, he is.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
So now here's the thing. How do we get out of this meeting, keep it open, and go into another WebEx? I forget how we did that last time. Are you going to send us an invitation?
So his possible suggestions. I might just be able to do this as a conference call.
Yes, as long as you shut off your microphone and step away from the
Right.
Camera in case there are any lip readers.
Okay. So I'll.
I was thinking, should I stop the recording so that people don't have to?
I think you could certainly pause the recording. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Let me pause that. Where is it?
So let me start this call. Howard, I guess I'll call you on your cell phone. I'll start with Howard. Okay, Howard, you're first in the queue. I'm going to try to get everybody else. So hang on, please. Can you mute? Can you mute us while I'm hooking up this phone call?
not for nothing.
Michelle, I'm going to call you on your home.
Yes.
Well, wait, before you do all that,
Yes.
not for nothing, there's nobody on but the executive board right now. So if you just block the meeting from any other people dialing in, we're already all here.
Okay.
Good idea.
All right. So, but I will pause. I'll pause.
I see you are recording. Okay. I'd like to make a motion to reopen our town board meeting at 10:44 on July 27th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Jay made a second. Okay. Do I have to go through a vote on that now or no? All right. Let me do a vote. Michelle Lindsay,
Aye.
Just
Maria May,
Aye.
Jay Reichgott,
aye.
and English aye. Okay. The meeting is opened. Okay. Now it's
Show of hands for that sort of thing.
hands. Okay. We'll do hands. All right. Now let's pretend it's almost 10:45. Okay, I'll wait. By the time we finish it, it'll be at 10:45. I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh, I can't.
Seconded by Maria. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, all four hands are up, and Howard, and I think the cat walked by and put his tail up. All right. So,
Good night, all.
meeting
Bye, Howard.
adjourned.
Good
All
night.
right. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.